Okay, so we want to kind of start diving a little bit more behind the reel. Okay,
Yeah,
so
for
this is the man behind the reel. This is, how does his brain tick? How, when he's out on the water, how does he break apart an area? What are some styles he likes to fish? So these are the things that we want to kind of dig into. So we kind of know who Jacob Ward is now. Let's start figuring out what makes him tick. So the first thing that I think is going to help us get an idea of you on the water is, what is your favorite style of fishing? And then you can kind of go into, maybe a couple key baits.
Yeah. I have a couple of styles that I like. As a kid, it was always like a small swim bait or like an inline spinner, something basic. Really, my two favorites are probably a swim jig / chatterbait. I kind of consider those similar.
Okay.
And then kind of finessey. I'm a faster finesse guy. I probably should slow down, but I'm a little bit faster of like a Ned rig, wacky worm guy. Those are probably my top two that I would say are my go-tos. If I only had two rods, those would be my two rods. I'd have a swim jig and probably a Ned rig.
Okay. Okay. All right. That brings us to number 3. How do you prepare for a tournament? You could go several different ways with this question.
Yeah.
We could talk about pre-fishing. We could talk about map study. We could talk about pre-tournament rituals.
Yeah.
Are you sacrificing small animals? I mean, we want to know, what are you doing? How are you coming out with Angler of the Year here? There's something to that.
Yeah.
I think that people that want to improve, even if they're good tournament fishermen, even if they're better than you, they may have something to learn from how you prepare for a tournament.
Yeah. So the first thing I do for a tournament is I figure out what the water clarity is like.
I just keep thinking about him sacrificing a small animal. I need to get that out of my head.
Well, all my animals are large, but yeah, I don't sacrifice any animals. But yeah, basically I figure out kind of what the water clarity is, whether that's, if it's a lake far away, searching on Google or looking it up, or if it's a local club, that if it's a lake I don't know, I'll drive up there and look, or kind of talk to some friends or guys that I know that fish that area. Because to me, that's what determines what colors I'm personally going to throw.
Mm-hmm.
I also get on, I actually use Apple Maps, and I'll look at like different points and different coves and kind of figure out like what looks best as far as like laydowns and grass and things like that, and figure out like where am I going to start off from, and where am I going to start from the ramp and find that starting point. That's
Mm-hmm.
always my first goal, because then I can always adjust from that point. Like if there's no fish there and it's not working out, I can always figure out a different spot.
Plan B.
Yeah. As far as like getting my tackle rigged, I take my crate with all my boxes in, and I have a cubby right in front of my legs that I fill. I take that out and I go in my tackle room. I take everything out of it and I go through all my soft plastics, all my jigs, everything, and I figure out what colors am I going to use, what secondary colors am I going to use for that water clarity, and then I'll figure out the 4 or 5 baits or however many poles I take, and I'll tie on the baits that I'm going to start with. And then in my cubby hole, I put all the plastics and all of my jigs and everything that is like my backup or my extra plastics to tie back on in that spot. That way I can get to it quickly and don't have to reach around and fiddle with that.
So just being organized. If you're going to go to a place with 5 foot of visibility, there's really no point in having a bunch of, black and blue or, chartreuse, whatever, right? So if you're going to be fishing dirty water that day, you're going to make sure basically everything that's ready to go is going to fit that style of fishing.
I have all my poles rigged. I have all the things that I think I'm going to switch to,
Mm-hmm.
or my Ned rig plastic wears out. I can grab another and put it on. Everything that I have behind me in my crate is things that if I'm going to completely change up, I'll stop what I'm doing and reach back and change it up. Most of the time I don't even touch behind me unless it's a situation where I'm just not catching any fish.
That makes sense.
It's just, for me, it's easier to keep everything organized in front of me than it is to reach back and have to completely redo everything every time.
So a little bit of map study, a little bit of organization, tackle prep,
Yep.
maybe. So, okay, so if you're going to pre-fish, let's say you're going to fish one of our events in the Air Capital. You've never fished there before. We're gonna go fish Butler State Fishing Lake. You're gonna join us on that one. When you go there, you'll do the same thing. You'll look at the map. You'll find a couple of key places you want to check out.
Yeah.
You know, have some baits in mind. You'll ask me. I'll tell you it's muddy as hell, and you know you'll be ready for that. So when you get on the water, what are you looking for?
If it's not dark, completely dark, I'll look for timber that's been laid over. I love those. If I see those, I'll throw a Texas rig worm depending on the time of the year. I'll look for grass.
A Zoom old monster. That's his
Zoom
secret.
old monster.
He wasn't gonna.
That's my favorite.
He wasn't gonna put that out there, but I'm telling you,
It is.
I'm exposing him.
My favorite color of that is watermelon seed. I don't know how many people love that color, but that's like my go-to. The 10-inch version, they have the mag old monsters, which I'll throw sometimes, but my go-to is watermelon seed old monster.
Okay, all right.
I just Texas rig it, and I don't even drag it.
Just when you come fish Butler with us, make sure you throw watermelon seed. It's gonna be great.
I'll do it.
Okay, so you're on the water, you're pre-fishing, you're looking for laydowns, you're kind of establishing a plan B.
Yeah, I'm a lot of more of a visual guy than I am really like electronics wise. That's just because growing up I never really had any of that stuff. So everything I look for is all visual. Laydowns, if there's rock, if there's bluffs over it, I look for everything visual, and kind of start from there, and then kind of figure out what my plan's going to be if what I'm throwing is not working.
Okay, cool. All right, well, I expect to see you at Butler.
All right.
There's a lot of big fish in Butler. A little known fact, Butler has the highest lunker rating in the entire state.